So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode we saw quite a few things happen, such as a pretty large war down here in East Africa, we had the Canadian Union do some expansion, the nuclear numbers were updated, we saw India unite, and also Hungary came back. So if you guys enjoy this series, then make sure to subscribe, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. The first event that's going to be happening is actually going to be a land purchase by Egypt. Now, the border here is terrible. I hate this. This looks so bad. So Egypt is going to be purchasing some land because they kind of need it for nuclear testing. Like, yeah, they have the Sahara down here, but they kind of wanted to test in some new areas, so they're going to buy this right here. I mean, there's a major city, but they can just test it right here, that'll be fine. And let's see what they end up getting. So Egypt will decide to... no. So Egypt will decide to buy this land here, which already makes their border look a million times better. So enough of that, and let's actually start updating the nuclear numbers now. Now, still by this point, no one has figured out that Egypt has nukes, but will they in this video? Maybe they will. They just haven't really looked at Egypt with satellites yet, plus they're keeping this in a very secret location, not even their own allies know about. So that's kind of why they've been able to keep it so secret. We're actually going to start the nuclear numbers with Sweden today, and let's see what they get up to. So they go from 68 and 18, all the way up to 110 and 18. Now, they didn't actually add any other bombs in any other territory because they didn't really want to. They kind of have like a hold on adding nukes in other territories, like the Dark Union also does as well. So we're not going to see any other bombs in any of the territories in this episode, at least. But now let's look at the Dark Unions. So Dark Union will get all the way up to 99 bombs and keep just 15 in the territory. So you can see that this thing is actually being respected. The deal isn't being broken, and yeah, it's pretty good. Let's see how many Egypt create. Egypt will simply add 2. That's because they don't have the same nuclear technology as these others, plus they're trying to keep it secret. However, that doesn't last long, because soon the Dark Union will see that one of the nuclear bombs is actually out. I don't mean it's like being fired, but it's like, it's just sitting there kind of, and it's not in a secret location like it used to be. And then immediately go to Egypt and be like, look, why do you have a nuclear bomb? It would be like, for our defence. Yeah, I definitely think it's for the defence. There's actually another country who's going to create another nuclear bomb, and that's the Canadian Union. They share with the entire world that their nuclear bombs are a pretty good country. We're going to be able to increase quite a lot because the Dark Union is helping them out. They are actually going to be going up all the way to 11. However, there's going to be another country who adds some nuclear bombs, and it's none other than the Floridians, as they will be creating their first nuclear bomb. And they're not actually going to start like with 1 like everyone else did. They're actually going to start out with 2. And yeah, they've been sending a lot of spies into Canadian Union territory because these two, bad relations, not very good. Yep, oh, really bad. So let's go to another region, as there's going to be a pretty big war that's going to start now. That's going to be between Albania and the Turkish countries down here. Now, these two in the last 2 episodes, or last few episodes, they haven't had very good relations. These guys right here, they are friends of Albania. They are the same religion as Albania. However, these guys, they're the same religion of Anatolia, and Albania doesn't really like that. And it kind of comes to a breaking point when the Anatolians make an alliance. As we have the new Triangle Alliance being created, no, this is not the same one that was in World War II. It'll include both of these countries down here. And Albania really doesn't like this. They say this is a threat to their... They say this is an infringement on their sovereignty, and they will be declaring war on the Triangle Alliance, also known as the Turkish Defence Pact. So straight away, Albania will be easily going to Anatolia, taking over a lot of land. They'll be able to capture a major city and continue up around all of Anatolia. We now have the Dark Purple country deciding to invade, as they are, as I said, very good allies with Albania. So they'll be able to invade quite far into Anatolia. And they'll also be making an invasion down into the bluish, kind of greenish country, turquoise. They even captured the capital of that country, and yeah, they start just battering these two. And Albania will slowly, just easily win against Anatolia, and it looks like that the end of Anatolia will be coming very soon, as they just get completely pummeled by Albania. Their capital city is encircled, and they move quickly around the peninsula. That is until this happens. And you can see here that, well, Sweden, they wouldn't do this. The Dark Union also wouldn't do this. None of these two would really care. So who did this? Oh, Egypt nuked the purple country over here because they were actually funding the Turkish alliance, who, believe it or not, has just won the last election in this country, or the one during the war at least, because they have elections during war in this country. Now, these guys are a constitutional monarchy, which kind of means that they operate on their own in a way. They have a monarch, and they also have a sort of democracy, kind of like the UK. But there is now a socialist party in this country who is kind of running the elections and stuff. So it's exactly like how the UK works. With Egyptian troops Egypt will now officially join the war, and the Communist Defence Pact has entered into Anatolia. As Egyptian troops will now start arriving inside of Anatolia, quickly pushing back over here. Egypt is stronger than Albania, so they'll be able to do this. I'd say, like, at the minute, Albania is probably 5th in the world. Egypt would be like 6th, I'd say. That's exactly how things are going at the minute. And yeah, there's nothing really stopping Egypt over here from doing what they want. And they could try and get the red team to join in this war, but Egypt and the red team, they don't have good relations, but Egypt could just nuke the red team. And I don't think the red team wants to be nuked again after what happened last time. This country's government was actually really like damaged and destroyed during this nuclear attack, and Egypt is getting a lot of slander in the kind of world stage. However, they're not going to be able to do anything about it because they can't really form a massive coalition against it in the minute. The Egyptian troops will also land down here in the Lime Turkish country, quickly recapturing the capital. And Albania will be able to put up a fight, and we'll actually see some naval battles, as the Albanians will quickly mobilise the navy to start trying to attack parts of Egypt and Libya, as they will move into these regions. However, the Egyptian navy is very good at fighting back against other navies, so they'll be able to quite easily do something like that. You can see the Egyptian navy kind of sprout out and have like several different supply lines, like going from different regions to try and connect up with the Anatolian navy down here. However, Albania is going to do a lot better against Libya, even eventually taking full naval dominance across this entire coastal area. And they'll then start a landing down in Libya. It's a pretty big thing because like that's a whole Mediterranean Sea away. But Albania, they're a strong country. They're not going to back down. However, then we see Egypt have lots of bombing runs around Crete, which is the main kind of naval base for these attacks. And the Albanian landing will slowly start to dissipate from here, and they'll basically be kicked off the entire not peninsula, but this entire area of Libya. Then have their navy being pushed back quite well, as Libya will kind of regain their foot in this area, and Egypt will just start to batter the Albanian navy. They are very strong, and stronger than Albania, like I said, at this rate. They'll then actually capture this island here and meet the southern border of Crete, in which we'll have some brutal naval battles around here as Albania tries to protect Crete. There's one place Albania really didn't expect to be hit by, and that is Sicily. As the Sicilian navy is going to start to push back against Albania now, trying to get towards these Balkan areas, which Albania was really not prepared for this. Like, they knew Egypt was going to be a threat, they knew that Libya could have been a threat, but they didn't even think about Sicily, in which the Albanians will have a pretty rushed landing back in this area to try and take back as much naval area as they can. However, it's too late as the Egyptian navy now completely circles around Crete and starts to push up towards the Greek area. We then have in the land Albania completely taking back most of the invaded lands that Albania did into them. We then have the Lime country completely pushing it back against purple Anatolian country, even making several invasions into them. Also have Anatolia pushing back against this purple country here, and once again making an invasion into them. And from here they'll actually be able to make a kind of invasion around this and invade into the Albanian colony in Turkey. And they'll actually completely push Albania from occupying the country. And then another country will get involved in this war. That is going to be Croatia. Croatia isn't on the side of the communists. They just want to get some land out of Albania because, I mean, they're kind of taking a lot away from them. They're blocking them off from the coast, and they're also just kind of taking away a lot of land that Croatia used to have. The Croatian country did used to be quite big, and they managed to take all of this land because Albania, once again, wasn't focused over here. They're a very disorganised country. And, unfortunately for any Albanian lovers, there'll be one final invasion, and that is by Romania, as they will start their invasion into the Bulgarian regions of the Albanian Empire. Well, it's not really an empire, it is a republic by this point, and the people of Albania, once again, just like old times, are done. As Albania will have a civil war with a more democratic government, which, as we see on the ideology layer, Albania is a full democracy. These guys want to turn them into a full democracy, as the government just haven't been doing good recently, and they want to change that and officially start an invasion. As they'll quickly come around, and with a lot of support, they'll easily be able to take as much land as they possibly can, encircling the capital area, which is very defended. As we see them also invade down here and push down the islands of Greece into Athens area. They'll push a lot around many different regions, even getting into the Thrace areas as well. Also see Romania make some more invasions up in the north, so yeah, and this is terrible. We also have a region of the country breaking away that wants to join up with Hungary. These are the northern regions that Albania annexed, which were very Hungarian. And this isn't like Hungary invading, this is just kind of sort of supported by them. And yeah, And eventually we have the capital of Albania being captured, which will result in the rest of the country basically surrendering. And after the Egyptians capture all of Crete, we have the Anatolians continuing their invasion back into this region, coming into the Turkish country and easily defeating them with Egyptian help, resulting in their full surrender. And the original government is actually still here, it's just camping out in this Turkish area, but Albania will make quick work of them and they'll be fully taken over, officially ending the Albanians with obviously a little bit more invasion by the Egyptians. They managed to actually capture this southern kind of landmass down here, so yeah, they'll just end up doing that. And this war is officially over. Albania has fallen once again. So let's take a look at the peace treaty. So this is the peace treaty. We have Egypt gaining actually just a little bit of land from this war. As you can see, they mainly gain like territorial water, and they gain this one island here. We have Crete getting their independence. The lying Turkish country expands a lot. Also, Albania gets a lot of land from this war. Also, Turkey gets destroyed. Albania has also definitely seen better days. They lose a ton of land. Hungary gains quite a lot of land. They weren't very populated provinces, so it's not like they got too much, but they were all very Hungarian pro, I guess. Croatia also expands a lot. They gain quite a lot of new land, and they get all their old land back as well. Romania also gets all their old land back, basically. And yeah, Albania's been heavily nerfed. They are no longer a top 10 country. They're probably like maybe number 16 in the world now. They're still decently strong, but they're nowhere near how they were before. And Croatia, now with all their old land back, will decide to move their capital to the region quickly. Their old capital actually used to be right here, so they'll be putting it right there once again. And yeah, Croatia is back, and they've got more land than they've ever had before. They're the biggest they've ever been. For reference, this is what old Croatia used to look like. A lot smaller than modern day Croatia. So yeah, this is definitely greater Croatia. But anyway, that's enough down here. Let's get on to something else. And that's going to be with the Canadian Union. In the last few episodes, they have expanded greatly. They've gone into a lot more new lands, and they will once again be expanding today up into Greenland. Greenland will be deciding to join up with the Canadian Union after they kind of do really bad in their economy, and the Canadian Union expands into some more Arctic areas with Greenland, obviously. And yeah, it's going quite good in the Canadian Union at the minute. Anyway, now going down to ideology in Oceania, we see sadly a country turned to dictatorship because, well, they were colonised by the Germans, which Germans were very bad dictatorships. That's going to be the red country here. However, this is not going to go unnoticed, as the Dark Red Union doesn't like the spreading of other ideologies into other continents. Definitely, this is pushed forward by Sweden by a lot. So they'll be responding by funding the blue country to go to war with the red team and change their government. So these guys will start to move into the red team, and yeah, they are a lot stronger than the red team. They were a lot more built up than the red team. The Germans really were very neglectable to their colonies in this timeline. They did not care what the colonies did or what the colonies even thought about. They didn't bother giving them independence and didn't even build them up very well. And just like that, this country is completely destroyed and it'll surrender over to the blue team. Very quick war. It only takes about like a month and yeah, they're done. So let's take a look at the peace treaty. There'll be no land exchange in this peace treaty. However, the country will be forced to turn back into a democracy once again. And Sweden, as you can see, is starting to really lose their influence. We're now in the 60s and well, Sweden has just been kind of falling off around the world. They haven't had as many countries kind of switch to their side anymore, as the big kicker was kind of like the Neo-Persia War. They lost a lot of influence there, so now what they kind of started to do is neglect other countries and try to just focus on their own alliance and build it up to maybe get other countries into it. But anyway, moving on for that, we move down to the Indian country, as they are actually going to be, not just the Indian country, but also Persia as well. They're going to be dividing up this country due to it completely collapsing. Yeah, it just collapses. There's a lot of countries that just collapse in this episode, but they will just be completely collapsing and be divided up because there's basically no saving them. So they'll be divided like this, with India getting this and Persia getting all of this. And you may be wondering why Persia gets a lot less land. Well, this is the more viable land up here. As you can see, there's 3 major cities and only 2 down here. However, it's split pretty equally in the eyes. I mean, the capital city is definitely the most populated one, but it'll just be simply just taken out like that. And yeah, that country no longer exists, and it's definitely a lot less diverse as it was a few episodes ago over here in India. You can thank the Indian Union for that. They are a top player in the world at the minute. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, now we're going to be moving down to South Africa, as Sweden will be yet again funding something else down here. And yes, it's a dictatorial rise. Actually, not dictatorial, this is a monarchist rise. They will be the... I believe South Africa did used to exist. They were a country before. They were originally colonised by the Lion Team. However, I literally don't have a I don't have one of the Antarctica. I don't have a map before then. But South Africa was its own country. I believe it was a dark blue colour like this, and it's definitely not going to be this colour because that's the colour of the ocean now. But these guys, they are based in the city here, and they all quickly sprout out and just take over a lot of land, as much as they possibly can really, and just completely destroy the idea of South Africa. South Africa really lost a lot of popularity with the government during the war, so yeah, they're cooked unbelievably. All the major cities are captured down here. Are then going to snake across the coast and grab over this one. They'll start to move up and they'll also take this one as well, so yeah. And this entire area, which is actually very supportive of the monarchists, will simply fall over and the capital will then be captured a few days later. And Antarctica, or not Antarctica, but South Africa will be taken over by the monarchists. I quite like this colour, so I think I'm actually going to keep it. But down here in Antarctica, well, it won't be captured, so the government, or the old democratic government, which is doesn't really matter, but they'll actually flee down to here. Not strictly down here, because South Africa does own a few other islands, such as this one here. They own this island. So what's going to happen is this is going to be their new base. As with only about, let's say, I don't know, maybe 5,000 population in their entire country, they also own these islands over here. They all survive, and the mainland is in Antarctica, but I mean, oh god, there's no one living in Antarctica, like, only scientists. But let's get to another event, as we're going to look at the space race. Now in the last episode it started, and we're probably around the year 1959 at this point, maybe, probably in the early 1960s, maybe, probably actually. I'd actually say the current year is probably 1960, I'd say. It's January 1st, 1960. And Sweden has just done something big which may change the entirety of the Cold War. I know how I said they weren't really focusing on proxy wars, well that was for a reason. As Sweden will be officially making a landing on the moon on the 2nd of January 1959. Sorry, no, 1960, not 1959. They'll be making a landing right here, and they're the first country to make a landing on the moon. They were followed 2 months later on the 23rd of March, which is actually 2 months, nearly 3, but they're followed on the 23rd of March by the Dark Red Union over here, and there's only been 2 countries on the moon at this point, so yeah, they're not colonies as well. This is just where they've landed. It's just kind of like a marker point, and we'll probably be never visiting this map again, but yeah, these guys both got on the moon. Sweden is their first, which is very detrimental, and yeah, the Dark Red Union is quite sad. So they put a lot of effort on trying to get to the moon, but Sweden managed to beat them, and this is going to cause them to greatly try and improve on other things such as nukes and just influence worldwide. Sweden is really not going to like this, and yeah. But anyway, we have one last event in this episode, and that's going to be the division of this country here. Also, yeah, they collapse. Every country in this video has collapsed for some reason, but we're going to see it be divided by a few countries or nations. So this is the peace treaty here. As you can see, yeah, the country's destroyed. As they have the Russians getting this land over here, the Prussians will be getting this land, or I'm just going to call these guys, I don't know what to call them. I'm going to call them Königsberg, because they were colonised by the Germans, so I'm definitely going to call them that. We then have the Polish getting this land right here, and Hungary will get this, and yeah, these guys have been wiped off, and a lot of countries have been disappearing in this episode, which is kind of sad. This is also very bad, because now there's like no buffer state in this area to stop Hungary and this Prussian country from fighting. So yeah, Hungary is definitely outnumbered here. They're not doing great. But that's actually going to be it for today's episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm going to see you in the next one, which may be, we may be getting to the end of the Cold War actually. I don't exactly know when I'm going to end it, but I'm going to end it at some point in the near future, so definitely keep an eye on that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.